What is up, everyone? Hello and welcome to TownHall Arcade, episode number 6, the first show of 2020 for us. I'm your host, Solid Jake. This week we are jumping. I don't know what's going on with Discord, by the way. I just produced a different show where the cameras were like flickering on that show, like doof, 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 and like each camera would do it, and then it would be good, and then it did it again. I restarted Discord in between that, so I don't know what's going on with that. So sorry for the cameras. It'll happen again. It'll happen throughout the show.
I tuned in and I saw TK was looking. I was like, is he always so blurry?
Well, it just happened on my end too, so I think that maybe it's just like a server thing.
I think it's a Discord thing, but I don't know.
Probably Discord,
yeah, I mean, but whatever. Anyways, what's up, guys? We've got Arano and we've got Unctious here. We'll get to those intros very shortly. We're talking about the best/worst games of the decade, personal opinions. AGDQ 2020, you know, that's actually something that's going to be a lot of fun to talk about, just because I haven't watched as much of it in the recent years, but I know Tom's a huge fan of that. ESL and StarCraft 2 / Warcraft 3, and basically the esports ecosystem as a whole, what that means for it, kind of going back to its roots, and then the Consumer Electronics Show. We've got a 320 hertz monitor coming out. We've got some new technology being tinkered with to rival the Switch, and some other stuff that we want to all jump in and talk about. So there's actually a lot to talk about because, well, we haven't done a frickin' show in forever either. But let's get down to the introduction, starting with you, Unctious. Tom, we've known each other since 2013, I want to say like 7 years. I met you through our good friend, Rob Hamilton, while I was working at MLG. But
yeah, Rob's a good guy. I don't remember why I was visiting New York at that point.
I don't know either.
I don't remember either. All I know is that like Rob was working at MLG at the time, or it was.
Yep, he was.
He wanted to show me the MLG offices. I'm like a former StarCraft 2 broadcaster, so I got to like go to the MLG offices, hang out with whoever was there, and there's the young, solid Jake Kulinski, who, as I walk in, pulls his shirt up to show me his the hair on his chest. I think to assert dominance. We grabbed some beers that night.
Right? I don't even know this guy at the time. And this is I have no idea. Like, I don't remember doing this, but I can totally see myself doing it. But
I 100% believe him.
Absolutely. Like, I'm at work, like in the office, and this was after hours. Mind you, it was probably like 5-6 p.m. or something, or towards the end of the shift.
Yeah.
It was a Friday night, I want to say. Wow, I flashed my chest hair. I had to assert my dominance, clearly.
It was good. Yeah, no, so we went out for some beers. It was a good time. And then since then, I've gotten to work with Jake on some of the hero stuff that he did. I was the host for Bloodlust. You might have seen me on that if you're a fan of Jake's channel. But yeah, just all around, like, used to be a stronger esports enthusiast. Now I'm just kind of like a gaming nerd who's here to chill with his bros and talk about some game shit.
Love it.
Oh my god, Trixler in chat. Do you remember that? The early days of SC2? Did you guys ever cast together?
I believe we probably casted together.
There's a lot.
We were both in the IPL caster search.
Yeah.
I'm not even in chat right now. I need to get in chat.
You scrub.
Popping up.
That's how you know you're getting old, or just losing your touch. Not even in Twitch chat when go.
He's
like, I need to post this on Facebook. I'm just like, what are you talking about? Facebook.
No, my parents. I like posted on Facebook earlier. I was like, hey, I'm gonna be on this thing later tonight. And my mom was like, we'll be there, honey. We'll be listening. All right, thanks, Mom.
Perfect.
27-year-old man, just mom's still cheering in the background.
They never stop.
That's the best part, right? But yeah, that was definitely a cool era, and it's cool just to kind of think about like you starting off doing some StarCraft 2 there. That's obviously how I became a commentator, doing stuff with Heroes of the Storm, just through that grassroots, kind of circuit thing. It's just open to the public. You can eventually basically become approved and get those caster slots. And it sounds like ESL is going to be picking up StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 and putting them on a circuit together with like an open thing. So that's definitely going to be something that we dive into a little bit more later. You said you're mostly just playing like whatever. I actually, before we even get to Ryan, what is your jam right now? I need to know. Like, what is?
I'm deep in on Path of Exile. This is my first time doing like an actual like full Path of Exile run. I am
is there
addicted.
even such a thing?
Oh my god, dude!
Like, can you get fully into it, or is it just?
Well, the thing was, like, previously I'd like basically burn out before I even hit Act 5. So the part of the game where you're like leveling and stuff is 10 acts long, and then you go into mapping, which is like just grinding for more gear and stuff like that. This is the first time I've made it. I'm in Act 7 right now, and like the thing about Path of Exile is that it scratches my like gambling degenerate itch, which is like, because, you know, you're like going through and enemy, you're just grinding, killing enemies to get the best gear that you possibly can. And it's always randomized. So it's like that, and Destiny did the same thing to me. Like Destiny is all random drops and stuff.
Yeah.
And all I can do is sit there and like, y'all got any more of them drops? Like grinding through. So that's been my jam right now. It's a really cool fucking game.
All right, Ryan, what's new with you in the new year? What are you playing?
I actually went back to Resident Evil 2 because after our last conversation about games of the decade, I started doing some research and said, you know what? It's been about a year. I could go for playing that again. And so I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty, which I did not do the first time.
How challenging is it? Is it like sincerely like brutal or not really?
The hardest part is just the inventory management. So if it was like your first time playing, I could see it being very hard, but I played that game so much when it first came out that I'm amazed how much I remember. It's just about, you know, shooting in the leg and running past, knowing which ones you have to kill. You're like, oh, I have to come back here a lot later, so let me make sure I clear this out. That type of thing. It's not, I mean, if you get caught, yeah, it sucks. But
I feel like ammo conservation has to be rough.
It is. If you try to kill everything, or if you even try to kill, I would say 50% of things, you're gonna run out of bullets. And it's gonna be especially sucky later when you get to like the plant monsters and, you know, even when you fight the lickers and stuff like that, it gets, because you don't want them hanging around ever.
You don't want to get licked.
Not by them.
Don't get licked.
Don't get licked.
Unless that's what you're into, but
Hey,
yeah, no,
we don't take shame.
That game was so good, man. It really was fantastic. I should play it again myself.
It was. It was.
Yeah, in the new year, I actually invested. I got a bunch of nice little upgrades at home. Swapped out the RAM, upgraded my RAM, my PC. Got a tri-monitor rack for my monitors. I just ordered a second joystick, and I just installed, my feet are on them right now, little pedals on my computer so that I can literally make the dream cockpit setup for racing games, but mainly for Star Citizen, because I'm really finally, I mean, I've been playing the game for like 5 years now, you know, hoping and dreaming for it to be
Has
like
it been out that long?
Yeah, oh yeah, dude. I've been playing the
Oh
beta.
my God.
I've been playing the beta or the alpha for that long. And, you know, I've spent way too much money on that game because it's not even about the game being done and ready and good. It's about believing in an idea and seeing the progress. And there was a point in time where I lost my light. I lost my way, and I didn't believe that it was ever going to be a finished product. But the progress they have made recently, how well the game runs, everything, I pulled the trigger and I bought all these new toys with money I don't have.
We got to talk about just that, like, that like business model for games where they're like, we're going to release the game in alpha, and you're going to have to sit here and wait for 4 years before we actually get to the finished product. And sometimes they like don't even ever get there. It's like frustrating. It's cool to hear that Star Citizen made it through that, because like I lost my head. We talked about this briefly. I got really into Hat in Time, which is like a platformer that's like built to be a good speedrunning game. And I supported that on Kickstarter way back in the day. And it took like 3 years for it to finish. And my interest and taste in game completely shifted by that. And I was like, I don't give a shit about this game anymore. And I already paid $20 and I got to play like 2 levels of it.
It was a fun game though.
Yeah, it's cool. I just never went back to it. Like I own it. It's in my library. haven't played through it. But Star Citizen sounds like it came around.
I mean, the Kickstarter made a lot of money, and then they transitioned to basically selling ships and items on their store, and that's how they fund it. They've definitely received some flack for doing things like they make like these car commercials for their ships. And like they were probably spending a lot of money just making these promotional things to keep making more money, which to me is fine because those car commercials like really amp me up. I'm like, well, shit, I need that ship now.
Actually, it makes a lot of sense to like have a business model like that for a Kickstarter, like.
But they went like past Kickstarter and transitioned to like just basically their pledge store is what they call it.
Right. What I'm saying is that like a lot of developers, once they like successfully fund a Kickstarter, there's no real incentive minus their integrity to actually complete the product. But like their business model is basically, this Kickstarter fund is going to get us to build the game so that we can then we have an incentive to continue making money by selling you ships and cool shit in game that you would want. Like that's smart. And that's like, if that's the business model going in, you know that they have incentive to be able to do that, which is like awesome.
Absolutely. But yeah, we'll see. The one, I guess, since we're talking about Star Citizen, the one bit of news there is I can't remember who makes the Crytek engine. I think it's just Crytek, actually. They are suing Robert Space Industries for basically having one license for their product, but making 2 games with it. Because Star Citizen is making both Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Squadron 42 is a single-player story set in that same universe where Mark Hamill is actually like one of the main characters in it. It's not actually Mark Hamill, but it's voice act directed and looks like Mark Hamill. I don't know the name of the character. But so they actually ended up delaying Squadron 42, and it is theorized that they decided to delay the game just to try to dodge this lawsuit and figure it out. But I don't really know any more beyond that point. It's just some drama, I guess, and some main press news, I guess, regarding Star Citizen. But all right,
I remember you being really excited for that too.
Squadron 42. I mean, it should be cool. I'm obviously looking forward to everything pertaining to Star Citizen, though. So,
Can you make the pedals like part of your stream deck and like use it for muting or anything like that?
dude, I'm like actually already starting to think about all the different things I can do with it. Like
changing scenes with it.
No, so like I want to start playing Star Wars Battlefront 2. I've like never touched the game, but I know they added a mode that's like all space combat. And I'm like, yo, if I can actually like hotkey all of my tools to flying an X-Wing, I'm gonna nerd out so hard, dude.
Yo, I can't wait till you get into that. You find a good game for like VR stuff. I mean, we talked briefly about Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
But dude, that stuff in VR must be insane and a good way to get super sick. But
we're gonna have to come back to VR because I do have some things I want to talk about and to what I think would be a good VR experience. But we're gonna come back to that. We're gonna jump straight into the best and worst games of the decade. What do we start with? Best or worst? Any preference?
let's start with best.
Okay.
I feel like best is going to be easier to talk about, where worst is going to be like a couple things here and there. Best, I feel like we could talk about for days.
I mean, we can go back and forth. We can go back
That's
and
true.
forth.
We can always go back and forth.
So,
all right, Jake, what is your best game of the decade?
It was actually initially for me, I was gonna say Mass Effect 2. It was my initial title, but when it comes down to it, I do prefer multiplayer games, and I'm gonna give it to StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 means so much to me. It did so much for me as a person. It brought me into esports. It inspired me. It made me love a different kind of content, you know, like things like State of the Game. We talk about contributions from people like In Control and the profound impact those people had on my life. You know, rest in peace, In Control. That was probably one of the reasons why I think 2019 sucked. Losing someone like him, losing my grandfather, I hated last year. I really did, because it was just a crappy way to close out those 10 years. But when I think back on it, I'm just so happy for how good the decade was overall. And StarCraft 2 was a big part of that. If it wasn't for me committing to flying out to BlizzCon to watch StarCraft 2 finals, I never would have became a commentator. I never would have met any of you guys. I never would have done half the things I've done in the last 10 years. So it has to be StarCraft 2 for me.
I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's a bad option, especially because I don't think esports would be where it is right now in terms of the amount of amount of investment in it and stuff is just insane.
And it still pulls people. We were at BlizzCon this year, and StarCraft 2 was packed to the brim, that arena. It was great.
Yeah, and it's a cool game. And I feel like it's probably in the best state it's ever been game-wise right now. So if you haven't gotten into StarCraft 2, now's a pretty good fucking time, aside from the ESL reasons, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah.
Tom, what's yours?
So I've been thinking a lot about it, and there's a number of games that are up there, but I think the easiest one that comes to the top of my mind, and I don't think this is just because it's a recent game, is Breath of the Wild on Switch. This game this is a game that I'm in awe of because of how many things that it tries to do all at the same time and seems to actually do them super, super well. But for me, it's I don't know if you've played Ocarina of Time. I don't know if you were a big Zelda fan, but Ocarina of Time, when I was playing it as a kid, gave me this sense of awe in terms of how big the world felt and like how it felt like you can like run around from one side of the map to the other.
It
and,
was
like,
the first game to ever do that. Like Super Mario 64 to an extent, but it still had like the painting stuff you went into. Ocarina of Time truly was the first game to give me that feeling as well.
Yeah, and like there's these like distinct areas that all have like their own people with different personalities, and you're like interacting with them. I don't know, that was huge. It made me feel incredible, and that's a feeling that I never thought that I would ever get again. I didn't think that it was a feeling that like an adult can actually experience. Like that was just not part of my life. It was like a memory of that from when I was a kid. And then Breath of the Wild fucking dropped, and I launched into that game. And to this day, like I don't know, like the elation that you feel realizing how truly big and expansive the game is, but not only that, but then on top of that, like how rigorous they like, how much work they put into just the physics engine and making it do cool shit. It's basically a toolbox for you to do incredible things. You never have to solve the same puzzle the same way twice. Like that's just incredible to me in its own right. But then from like a narrative perspective, almost. One of the things that I think the game does really well that you don't see in a lot of games now is that it tells the story of you as a player becoming heroic. Like when you first start that game, it's hard as balls. And like I'm a veteran gamer. Like I've played a lot of video games in my day, but like a lot of the enemies, like the enemies
I love the term veteran gamer. It just it really it smacks. Okay, it's a great term right there.
I'm a veteran gamer. Anyway, but like I'm pretty okay at games. I know how they work. And some of those enemies are like really hard right off the bat to deal with. And then as you progress through the game, you collect more items, you get more knowledge. Like Link himself is getting stronger, but you're also getting better at interacting with the environment. And like the game shows this to you. There's like an island that you can like you end up finding somewhere deep in the game. I think it's called Eventide or Evertide Island, and it's slightly off the map. And once you get there, the challenge of the area is that you're stripped of all of your equipment and you can't leave the island anymore. And you have to use all of everything that's on the island, the weapons that you find there, the items that you find there, and just your knowledge of how the game works to try to figure out and complete the objectives that are on that island. And like, that's huge. Like that's huge to me. It's the moment that I realized, oh shit, I've actually gotten good at existing in this universe and this physics engine that they've created. And like, that's so cool to me. So like just having that heroic journey from beginning to end, like even if the actual narrative in the story is not great, like feels fucking cool.
I mean, we've had the conversation before how I feel about this game. It is the best Zelda game ever made. It's not my favorite, but it is the best one ever made.
See, like you said, we've talked about this before. I'm not a Zelda fan, and I freaking love this game. I think it's the main reason to own a Switch, not even Smash. It's for this game. I have played way too much of this one. It is the first Zelda game I sincerely love. And you know what? It made it into my top 5 as well. So good job. It's not my number 1, but it's in my top 5.
Yeah, not to say that it's not without its issues. It has its issues, but
I mean, sure, yeah. But it's phenomenal, and I'm actually like snap buying the sequel. Snap gonna buy it.
Yeah,
I think most people are. I mean, myself included. I've played every Zelda game since 1. I'm gonna play 2, the Breath of the Wild 2. But I mean, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I understand why people love it.
Yeah, I think it also just hit me at like an emotionally vulnerable time. I just moved to like a new city where I know nobody, and like I didn't have a lot of friends. And then like 3 months later, the Switch comes out, and I buy a Switch. I managed to get the last Switch available in the Target right near my apartment, and go home. And my Switch was basically just a Zelda machine for weeks. Like, come home after work, ignore everything, sit on the couch, play Zelda for like 8 hours. Like,
I will say this about Zelda: it's the kind of game where you really need to just submerge yourself in it and just play long sessions. If you're just trying to log in and play an hour at a clip, it's not a good game for you. It really is the kind of thing where you just need to sit down and play and like have a good long session.
Get lost in it.
Yeah, and get lost in it, because that's where its beauty is. It's not a game where you pick up and you do one little dungeon and you come back and you do another little dungeon, because you're not. It's not. I don't know. It just doesn't work for that game for whichever reason.
It's not built for that experience. Like,
no, it's not. All right, Ryan.
I think I've said it once or twice already, but I guess I'll say it again. The Last of Us, the best game of the decade by far. And if anybody has not played it, you are missing out.
I'm actually thinking about picking up a PS4 now that it's like now it's the end of its cycle. Like those prices need to drop soon, and there's like a ton of PlayStation exclusives I haven't had the opportunity to play. Among them, The Last of Us, obviously.
So Last of Us and Last of Us 2 comes out in May, and I'm so excited.
They've confirmed that PlayStation 5 will be backwards compatible. So I'm like, do I want to get a PS4 at the end of this generation, or do I just want to buy the PS5 and like be set for like?
Is it backwards compatible only to PS4 games, or will it go all the way back?
I believe so. All the way?
The rumor is all the way back, but nothing has been confirmed yet.
There are so many games I haven't played.
I'm gonna go slap my PS1 discs in there and see what happens.
The other thing is like, even though they say it might be backwards compatible, what people are worried about is like backwards compatible as far as emulation goes, not actually through disc read.
Oh, right. So you have to, like,
that makes way more sense. Yeah.
But even then, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I personally have like 30 PS2 games that I would love to play again, but if I can repurchase them, as long as they're not looking to charge me $20 for a game like Fatal Frame, I'll probably pay the price to play it again.
I've still got my PS2 downstairs hooked up with DDR in it.
Hell yeah!
Might be taking that from you.
I mean, you can borrow it, sure.
Yeah, sweet. I've been wanting to play Fatal Frame.
Yeah, it's down there. It's a PS4. It's a PS2 Slim.
Oh, nice.
Oh well, you wait. All right, we didn't really get at your Last of Us pick. Like, what is it about it? Is it the narrative? Is it the gameplay? What is it? Like, what's the?
It is a beautiful narrative. The characters are like, Ellie is one of my favorite characters of all time in any game. The game makes you cry. The game makes you laugh. I literally cannot say enough good things about it. Obviously, the combat has aged a little poorly. It's not as smooth as you might like it, but it still holds up. The story is just, it's a beautiful post-apocalyptic world, and I play it once a year for the past, God, what is it, like 8 years now? I've played it every single year. I think it actually 2013. So I'll play it again before Last of Us 2 comes out, and I will enjoy it a different way than I did the first time and the second time.
Yeah, I need to play that fucking game.
I cannot say enough good things about it. I also wonder, any person I've ever hyped this game up to has not played it, because most people who I do talk to about it have already played it, or the other people don't own a PS4 and have no intention of it. So I'm waiting for that one person who I hype it up to be like, no, this game is really not that good. But
this game sucks.
In my defense, a lot of people are giving it the best game of the decade award, so I'm not alone in that sense.
I've been wanting to play it since before it came out. It's just,
Hey, fair trade. I'll give you my PS4 and you give me the PS2. We'll trade.
Fair trade.
I mean, for keeps.
Take him up on it. Take him up on it.
Yeah, no. If we're gonna,
I keep the DDR pad. You could have the PS2, but I get.
We'll buy another PS2.
Yeah, no, I'm down for that. That's sounds like something I have to play. Just kind of speaking of like playing games, I know this is going on a tangent. I got the new Pokemon game for Christmas, and I was actually talking to Tom about this. We had like the exact same experience, but the tutorial is so long. Like, I was playing it the day after Christmas, had the day off, just sitting there, and I loaded up, and I'm playing in my living room, and it's like, okay, cool. I get on the train, tutorial done, sweet. Nope. Here's a different section of the tutorial where you gotta like run around and learn how to camp and feed your Pokemon and cook food that does absolutely nothing, by the way. And it was just like uninspired. I don't know. I just didn't care about anything.
It's lazy. The game's lazy.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of it and from everything I'm hearing, obviously there are people who love it, and more power to you, but it's a lazy game. Not having the full Pokédex, having very weird mechanics as far as getting shinies and stuff go, and people love it and they're gonna play it, but it just seems like a very lazy game, and they're just gonna poop out Pokemon games and people are gonna pay for it. So
yeah, I mean, the formula's there. You have everything that like would be there in a Pokemon game. It's just fucking, I like what Jake's talking about, that experience where you finally make it to like an open world area, like 3 hours into the game. I don't know how many hours. I don't remember. I wasn't counting. But like just the idea that they weren't going to like unhinge me and let me just experience the fucking game after however many hours of gameplay was it felt almost insulting to me. I was like, can you just let me? I know this is a kid's game, but can you just let me go?
But it's like
Can you
there's
let
been
me
so many
As
of
the
these
veteran
games.
gamer in you, you've been playing this game for 20 years. Don't they know?
The veteran gamer. By the way, Tom, you gotta change that to like your put it on your resume, veteran gamer. Like
Skills.
yeah, that's it.
Man. I'm weathered. I'm seasoned.
Weathered, aged.
All right. So now, do we go to a worst, or do we go back to you for another one in your top 5?
We'll stick to top 5. So another top 5 is for me Mass Effect 2. I think Mass Effect 2 was probably the best RPG I've played in the 10 years. I felt like every game I touched since then either lost my interest, disappointed me, or something in some way. Whereas Mass Effect 2, like the combat was great. It felt really good. Like Mass Effect 1 is like atrocious combat, but great story. But Mass Effect 2 had it all good. It had good music. It had good combat. It had good story. It really felt like your decisions mattered. I mean, that's actually probably the number one game for me to replay right now. If there's one game I want to replay, it's Mass Effect 2.
I never got to play Mass Effect 2, but I played Mass Effect 1, and I think that franchise in general is like the highest form of what gaming should achieve to be. It's like, it's cinematic and interesting, the narrative is interesting, and on top of that, it's built so that like it takes advantage of the thing that gaming has to offer people. Like if I wanted to see a good story, I could like just go watch a movie or read a fucking book. But the reason that gaming is better is because like I can immerse myself in that narrative, I can make decisions, and those decisions can like have an impact on the story. And like you have a beautiful art, a cool story, and then on top of that, like the decisions you make have moral impact in the universe, and that's like what games should aspire to be. And I think
like
that's
peak
incredible.
BioWare. Imagine what they make now.
Speaking of BioWare, yeah, I guess I'll give you one of my, if not my worst game of the decade, Anthem. Holy frickin' disappointment. I don't have to talk about it. If you've watched any of my shows or any of my streams before, you know how excited I was for this game, and it's a heaping pile of shit. The combat is amazing. The world is beautiful, and everything else is literally that mound of shit in Jurassic Park 2 where she reaches her arm into to get the walkie-talkie. That is Anthem. It is just the biggest poop you've ever seen.
The best way I can add to that conversation is so Jake obviously hyped that game up for a very long time.
And I defended it. I defended it, dude, for like the first.
To find where my
Cue Jake's, I'm gonna cast this game. I want to make content in this game tweet, and then the fucking game launches, and it's like, never touching this shit again.
Why is
not doing it?
Oh, what? That's got to go in my top 5 as well. Should I just? Let's lay them out there. We got Anthem. We got the hell is that game called? Artifact. It's an Artifact.
Oh man, what
Artifact. Like
that's so brutal.
So disappointing. Shit.
I've literally logged 0 hours of Origin. I tried, and what my subscription ended up being was I played Sims 4 for the entire month. That's how good I thought Anthem was.
I mean, I feel like we have to note No Man's Sky on launch, right? We have to note that was like
that was an awful game too, yeah.
But it's actually they redeemed themselves.
They redeemed themselves.
There's a lot of games that I was looking over like the worst games of the year. Because one for me particularly, we'll go back to was Final Fantasy 14.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna mention it. Yeah,
it was one of the worst games I've ever played, and I was so done with it. And then Realm Reborn happened, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, we should try it again." I'm like, "Dude, they can't fix that. They can't." And they did.
It's great. Yeah.
No, it's super fun. And like, I'm not an MMO person either. Like, I don't like MMOs, but for some reason that game feels good. Like, I love that there's actual, like, I don't know, cool fighting mechanics and shit just for like regular mobs, like not even just boss fights and stuff. Like, it feels good to play. Combat satisfying.
Yeah. No, it's a great game.
But
Artifact is just raw shit. It's like, so here's the weird thing about Artifact, and again, I've talked a lot about this game. It really felt cool on the surface. Like when you first play it and you felt the polish and you looked at it, it's like, wow, this game is cool. It's impressive. It's neat. The problem is you have some long gaming sessions and you're learning and it feels good. Feels good. I played for a while. I played a lot. And then eventually, once I felt like I understand the game and I was playing at a high level, like I was playing in tournaments, these are all like behind closed doors tournaments, but still, I'd play one game, like intense Artifact, and be like exhausted and being like, that was really fun. I never want to play that again. And it's like a weird experience because I would like love that one game and I'd be like, I'm set. No, that was cool. Nope, never again. And clearly the world felt the same way. But how about you guys? Let me give another love or hate.
I'll give a quick love to Slay the Spire, which is
that's a cool game.
Probably my most played game of 2010 decade. I have something like over 350 hours into that game between Switch, PC, and then God help me when it comes out on mobile this year.
He's done for. He's fucking done for, boys.
There's no like I will need to buy like 3 chargeable batteries to carry with me at all time because I will be nothing but playing that game. That is up there. I wanted to leave it off the list because it wasn't the best game. Like it's not like the best game like when you look at all the games, but as for me, that was so high on my list and how much I played and how much we've talked about it just over the past 2 years.
I've kind of loved that I can like kind of do other things while I play the Spire. Like I can like listen to a podcast or like I could fucking like talk to friends. I actually went to my buddy's, one of my best friend's houses, and we like just sat there and traded the controller back and forth on the Switch, playing, doing runs while we were just bullshitting and hanging out. And I had like the best night. I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah. I actually,
cool
when I first started playing it, I was so addicted to it. I set up a
remote login. I remember this.
So I could log into my computer at home and play it through an app called Moonlight. And I would literally play it when I was out and about because I needed to play it.
That's awesome. That's dedication.
If that game makes
you know what they call that? They call that a veteran gamer for sure.
No, they call that a nerd. All right, Tom, what's another one for you?
I think N++ is the best platformer of all time. I don't know if you guys have played.
I completely forgot about that game. Was that really 2010 decade?
Well, N+ came out on the 360 prior to 2010.
That's the one I played.
Yeah, and then N++ is like the sequel, and I would have said N+ because I like N+ better than I like N++, but it didn't come out this decade, so it's actually N++.
I've never heard of this game.
It is.
I'll let him explain. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's a momentum-based platformer. It's like it was the predecessor to Super Meat Boy. Like Super Meat Boy came out, and they were trying to make a game like a faster-paced N+. So the idea is that like you're this ninja, and you have to get through a series of 5 levels on a timer. Okay, and the way that you can make that timer's like the amount of time go up is you can collect gold on the level. Okay, so you have options. You can either try to take the quickest route possible, or you might risk something else to go get more gold to give yourself more time. So you have a competitive part of the game where like you and I can compete to see who ends the level with the most time left on our clock, right? So we can like try to figure out who's the better player that way. But then on top of that, like the skill ceiling in this game is so high because the movement mechanics, although you only have 3 buttons to press, left, right, and A, are like insanely deep. Like the physics in this game is insane. Your actual like the ninja that you're playing as has a rounded like hitbox. So the way that you deal with corners and the way that you can like move yourself around kind of changes depending on the terrain that you're on.
Huh. You
can gain momentum by jumping up slopes. You can lose momentum by just dragging down a wall, and it's just so fucking cool. So N++ has like thousands of levels. And the ability for users to create content, which is cool. Like, there's actually a lot of really great user levels out there that are worth playing.
So you say this is definitely a veteran gamer only kind of game?
I think the level's easy enough for the little newbie baby gamer, but
the rookie gamer, if you will.
You prefer that over newbie baby gamer?
I like newbie baby gamer. Rolls off the tongue.
I was just
newbie
trying to
baby
keep
gamer.
it within the within the theme.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's worth picking up. I don't know how much it is on Steam right now, but it's like definitely worth picking up. Game's great.
I played N+ a lot.
14.
I remember playing that game a lot.
$14.99 is the price on Steam.
Easily worth $15.
Wait for the spring sale. You'll probably get it for half off.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, I have a lot of time into the end game series, and it's real good.
All right, here's one of my top of the decade, Stardew Valley.
Yep, absolutely.
Fucking lame.
I didn't say that. Whoa.
Boo.
Whoa. Kicking
Boo.
off this call right now.
For me, it is the indie game of the decade, and I wanted to give it to an indie game. Developed by one person. I have put so much time into this game. It really recaptured the Harvest Moon, love of my childhood. But also, it's a game that my wife and I play together co-op a lot, even now. He's continued to support it and update it for free, which, is great. Getting content updates for free is always good. So
Yeah, you actually kind of have like an emotional connection to that game too, just in that like you were making a new home when you were playing that game.
Yeah,
right?
that's
like
true.
you had like moved into your house, and then on top of that, you're like going outside in your actual house and like gardening and like clearing the land that had tons of shit all over it at the time. So you're like cleaning things out and then coming back in and relaxing and like hanging out in Stardew Valley.
I'd call that Stardew Valley
awesome.
IRL. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like that's super cool. Like nothing can replace that experience either. Like
My experience was staying inside while playing it, and I still feel the same way. I still like teach people about Stardew Valley to this day, and they end up coming back loving it. Or you just meet random people who you would never see as someone who plays a game. They're like, "Yeah, I play Stardew Valley," and I'm so surprised to hear someone who does. Have you played it, or you just don't like it, or are you just against it?
Oh, are you asking me actually?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just being like, I was just trying to be an asshole. I haven't. I played a little bit of it. It's just not for me. The kinds of games are like the farming and friends games are like.
Okay.
I haven't found the hook in there.
No. So here's the thing: you just haven't sat down and played with us. But then again, we brought you into the forest once, and you hated it.
I think I might have been hammered at the time. I think I might have. It was just not a good. It was not a good way for me to
That
get
does not sound like a good
in
experience.
the forest.
I love those base building co-op games. Farming, whatever. They're fun to me. But
Yeah, part of it is I just need to learn how to relax, and that's a game that relaxes you, and that makes me very uncomfortable.
Wow. Tell me more.
Yeah. So.
Tom, tell me a hate.
Fuck Fortnite, man. That game fucking sucks, bro.
I love that game.
Yeah, it came. The only time that I had like a modicum of a good time is when I pretended that I was a 10-year-old, and like that's when I was like, oh, if you just don't care and like act like a little 10-year-old piece of shit, like this game is great. But only for a second. I think there's a couple game mechanics that I think like actually upset me about it. I was like a big Arma 3 Battle Royale guy back when that was a thing.
We play a lot of PUBG. Yep.
And then PUBG obviously is it's probably one of my games of the decade, not because of like its incredible coding or like, netcode or anything, but just because like it's sort of revolutionary.
To do with the actual game.
Right. Just like what it does, what it did for gaming conceptually, I think.
Well, it really made Battle Royales a thing.
Yeah,
like,
it put Battle Royales on the map
exploded
in
because
like
of PUBG.
a big way. It also like had a massive impact on the content that's on Twitch. So like in that way, it's important, right? And
it is.
fundamental.
You're right.
You could say the same thing about Fortnite, but fuck you.
No, PUBG definitely gets credit. They're not Fortnite.
Yeah,
I disagree, but
put Fortnite in the.
But I think like one of the things that really bothered me about it, and maybe I admittedly maybe haven't dug deep enough into Fortnite to get to this point where I'm wrong. But the fact that you can like build makes every end game circle like it downplays the importance of planning where you need to be as the circle gets smaller and smaller.
Agreed.
And smaller.
Yep.
That's like a major thing it's a major thing in PUBG that you like from the beginning of the game you need to be thinking about the best way to come into this circle, and as it changes you need to adapt. But at the end of the day, like if you could just get into a big fucking tower, like you have less of an advantage based on the
you just shoot the person out. Absolutely not. You're selling yourself more to where you are if you build up that much, and if you build a tower, you're gonna get shot down and you're gonna fall to your death.
The bit that I played and I watched a decent amount of it. I saw just every person like build massive forts for themselves in the end game. Not necessarily like super, super tall, but like in a way that it diminishes the importance of the actual environment that you're playing.
Well, are you talking about like pro scene, or are you talking about like what you're? Because in the pro scene, there's just so much built that you can't shoot them out, and that's what it is. And it's all about rotation and stuff like that. And the game always ends with the storm like closing into like the final circle. But I mean,
right.
Awful.
I mean, it seems like decision making before that is like less important in terms of terrain, in terms of deciding where you're going to be.
I disagree. I don't see how, because if you do build, then you are giving away your position and you should always be rotating. You might set yourself up on the end of the map, but you can't tell where the final circle is going to be, because it's not like it just closes in little by little. It might be here, and then the circle closes now over here.
Well,
It's
yeah,
not-
sure.
So it's not like you can just. I mean, there's a certain part of luck when it comes to it, I guess, but I
Well,
don't see. it's
Either
any
way,
different than PUBG.
it's Tom's opinion. He thinks
No, of course.
Fortnite is one of the worst
I
games
will
of the
say-
decade.
I think I'm just salty about it, man. That's all it is.
I mean, I get it.
Sucks. Maybe I'm just
I've
jealous
seen-
of the fact
I've
that so many
seen-
people have fun with this fucking game, and I can't figure out.
I don't play it anymore because I'm so bad at building. It's not fun for me. But I mean, I went to the World Cup last year. If they do any sort of thing in this area, I'll probably go again. I watch streamers who play it. I enjoy it, but
Tom just got sick of getting shot in the face and then flossed on.
Honestly, maybe like I'm just me screaming alone again. A 27-year-old man alone in his apartment.
So,
Fucking newbie baby gamers. I played StarCraft 2 10 years ago. Like just angry at children.
I was diamond, sir.
No, I was
Back
plat
to my
playing
days.
diamonds in StarCraft 2.
Plat Protoss. Excellent. Ryan, what's a hate? Give me a hate.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, that's a good one.
A lot of people love that game, right?
And I don't understand how. Like, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I will not argue that. But a game that has literally been 12 years in the making, 10 years in the making, whatever it is, and to be literally worse than the PS2 predecessor, I cannot say that's a good game. The voice acting's worse. The combat is worse. The worlds are beautiful. They did a great job with that. But every other aspect of that game makes me so angry that
Wait, what's the clusterfuck of like the special moves that you can do?
it's
Like,
the dumbest thing ever. The amusement rides that you go on, the pirate
yeah,
ship,
yeah.
the teacups, and like they make that part of the mechanic, and it just makes the battles last so long that you're not supposed to use them, but then they're just flashing in your face to use them, so you want to use them.
Yeah,
That game
Right,
makes
it's
me so
nonsense.
angry. This makes me so angry. I waited for that game for so long. I've talked so much hype to Jake
Yeah,
about
you-
Kingdom Hearts
you-
and how much I love that series, and it
And
pains me so
The whole
much.
time I was just like, God, man, that series is so overrated. I kept saying that. I've always said that about Kingdom Hearts. I think they're fine, but I just never understood like the extreme fandom. And like when people were excited for like 3, I was like, I couldn't tell you what the story was, because to me the story always felt so convoluted. It was so like just so thin, everything about it. And it's it's justice. Like if you guys have ever seen Harry Potter, and like I think it's the second movie, Vernon Dursley, his uncle, that the oaf walrus with the mustache, he goes, justice. That was me when Kingdom Hearts 3 review started popping up, because I'm all
Wait,
about it.
tangentially, I have a story about my biggest disappointment in a game, which came out before 2010. When I was in high school, you remember do you remember the day BioShock came out? Everyone at my school that were like my gamer friends were like really excited about BioShock coming out. There was a second game coming out on that same day. Do you have any idea what that is off the top of your head?
No.
Do you remember Two Worlds?
Oh yes, bad game. Very excited for it. I was equally as excited.
I had just gotten off of like binging Oblivion for like days and days and days and days and days, and then they're like, this game Two Worlds is going to come out, and it's going to be like multiplayer Oblivion, and like you're going to be able to play online. So all of my fucking nerd friends went out and bought BioShock, and I was the one guy who was like, nah, fuck all y'all naysayers, and I went and I bought Two Worlds. I went to return it the next day, and it dropped in price from like $40 on return to like $15 on return because so many people were bringing it back. Oh, yeah, there it is. Epic edition.
So this is actually like a game that I got really lucky and dodged. I was about to buy. I forgot it was till you said it, and I looked it up. I was like, holy shit. Because I actually bought an Xbox 360 for BioShock, so I guess I made the right call. Oh my god, this looks atrocious.
It's so bad.
What are these scorpion
So
people?
bad.
Don't you worry, it was pretty atrocious.
I'm like a kid, and like the thing is, like at that point, there's not that much video content out there that you're like paying that much attention to. At least I wasn't. I was like, I had my Xbox magazine, and I'm like, yeah,
You're looking at images, you're looking at stills, like coming
Even then, when you see
soon.
previews, they're always putting out better pictures than what the game actually.
Oh
is.
yeah, for sure.
True.
So,
Anyway, that was a tangent. So that's the worst game of last decade.
Last decade. Oh, that's agreed.
Nice. Ryan, you got another one?
For worst or best?
Worst.
Worst. For me, this is a personal thing. I know people like this game, but Final Fantasy 15. I am one of the biggest Final Fantasy fans out there. And that's not, I don't say that lightly. I've been playing them since 1. I personally have not really liked 1 since 13. I also really didn't like 10, but I understand why people do. 15, I do not understand what it is about it that draws people in. It's a boys' bachelor party vacation. The story's awful. I don't like what they did with the combat. Give me active time battle back, but I'll never get that. But 15 made it so that I will never buy a Final Fantasy game besides remake, because that's different. I won't buy Final Fantasy 16 on launch anymore.
We need to read about it first. Interesting. I haven't played 15. I know very little about it, but to me, it felt like the Final Fantasy fantasy, like the world and like just that whole Final Fantasy ecosystem, if you will, is lost in that game. From what I can tell, it feels like a very modern world where everybody looks the same, more or less. Those boys all dress pretty similar. They're wearing all black, right? All of them.
Mm-hmm. They try to be, they're like Cloud 2.0, but
yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it just, something about it is lost there. The game doesn't have, obviously it has like chocobos and it has cactars and it has all that stuff, right? No, there's no way that 83% liked that game, Unctious. See, 83% people liked Two Worlds. That's a lie.
I feel like that's because it was so bad that people just like learned to like it.
No, all that shit
like,
on
what's that game?
Bullshit.
Oh man, I'll continue. I'm gonna find a game.
No, it's just like 15. It looked uninspired. I didn't even bother watching a second trailer because I was so disinterested in it. And I never even I forgot it came out. I forgot it existed until you mentioned it right now. Like, I just really saw nothing appealing about it. Like, you mentioned 10, and while I hate 10 because I hate Tidus, that world is inspired. That world is fantastic. Really is. 12 is fantastic. I don't love 12. I actually don't like 12 very much as a game.
My issue with 10 has always been the story. Like, I don't personally like Tidus. I don't find that story enjoyable. The combat system was good. I enjoyed Blitzball. I understand why it wasn't good, but I think it was a fun time. There was characters in there that are iconic and people do love. I think Tidus and Yuta's love story, in quotations, I think is just wasn't for me, but I understand why people like that game. 15, I have a hard time understanding why people enjoyed that game.
So let me just clarify something for anyone that's tuning in for the first time. This show, we are going to rant a lot. So if we go off the rails because we're enjoying the conversation, that's what the show is about. It's about bros talking about video games and just having a good time. On that note, I just want to talk about my RPG preference really quick because I rarely talk about what I like. Dude, I like very few Final Fantasy games. I like MMOs, so I do like 11 and 14. I've played a shitload of both of those games. I like 7, 8. My favorite Final Fantasy game is either 7 or 9. But what my favorite RPGs might not even be Final Fantasy games. I think I prefer Chrono Cross and Skies of Arcadia over every Final Fantasy game. And that's just my preference, right? Everybody's different. But maybe I'm just a weirdo. But I was so sad when they canceled the third Chrono game. Really was.
Well, that's because Chrono Cross wasn't that good.
Wow. Well, anyways, who's your least favorite people of the decade? Ryan Arana Ward makes the list.
Real fast, the game I was thinking about was a game called Deadly Premonition, which was a horror game. It is the most polarizing rated game of all times. There's some people who IGN gave it a 2, whereas Destructoid gave it a 10, and it's everywhere in between. It is one of the most random games. If you ever want to get drunk and play a game, that's the game to play.
What game is this?
It's called Deadly Premonition. It is off the rails. It's so bad it's good, but people rated it really well. It's so ridiculous.
I don't know how long I've been muted for, boys, but
for a minute.
A while.
fucking Deadly Premonition. Is it on PC? Can I download it?
It is on PC.
Oh boys.
It is.
I think I just figured out what I'm doing with my Wednesday night, boys. Here we go.
It's the most polarizing rated game.
I feel like I have to stream this game now.
It is a good time. I will say that. As someone like,
why is this tree bleeding?
$25. When did this game come out?
God, 2008.
Are you out of your fucking mind? Why would I pay $25?
Oh my god, so many spoilers.
They just released a director's like updated version for it.
Oh my god,
So
no, I
that's
want
probably
the real
what you're
deal.
paying for.
3 friends already own this game.
But as a huge horror fan, this game touches my heart. But I will not tell anybody it's a good game by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm trying to think of like what my fourth and fifth favorite games are, because it's really tough to narrow things down.
I can probably name a couple that you might agree with.
Sure.
One being Portal 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's easy, hands down. Great fucking
Portal
game.
2 is a fantastic game.
Super good.
Great puzzles, great comedy.
One of the things that blew my mind about Portal 2 is that it felt like the entire single player is basically like a tutorial for you to go into like the co-op. Like co-op doesn't give you mean tutorials or like serious tutorials. It's like you go into co-op and it's like both of you now have the skills that you learned from playing the single player. And I kind of loved that. I had a really good time.
Yeah, no, I love Portal 2. That's a game I'll still go back and play. It does lose a little replay value because you remember a lot of the puzzles and stuff, but
yeah.
it's still a good time. GLaDOS still makes you laugh. You know,
Cave Johnson's still an incredible character to like listen to,
absolutely.
like destroy himself. You know,
life gives you lemons. You take those lemons and throw it back at them, or whatever the quote is.
Yeah. Demand to see life's manager.
Yeah.
You know who I am.
The original Karen.
That's fucking awesome.
I'm having a much easier time thinking of games that I would put at the lower end, and I don't know if it's fair to put this as a bottom game of the decade, but I'm just considering like biggest disappointments for me.
Yeah,
and that's
what it was for me.
Anthem was real bad, but like Destiny 2 also really kind of hit that. I had such high hopes for that game, and shipping on PC with no social systems whatsoever. Like the game is fine now, but when it launched, it was missing so many things. There was no text chat. There was no group finder. There was nothing. If you wanted to make a party, you had to go to the official website, like externally, and like link up. And it was so janky and bad. And I felt pretty burned by that game.
Yeah, I fortunately played it on Xbox first, and I had Izzy and a couple other people that I played
on
with.
console. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a different, but even then, for me, a really fun leveling experience. But the end game was not something I enjoyed.
That was the other part of it. It was like not only the end game, but I had bought the season pass because I was like really pumped for it. And all the new content they added was really shallow, really linear.
A lot of the game plays super. Okay. I love Destiny 2 now. I bought it the day that it came out on PC. I played it one day, and then Mario came out the next day, and I never picked up Destiny 2 again until after it was free to play. So I paid for it like way a long time ago. And then when I started playing it this time around, I fucking love it. I think it's great. But there are things that for some reason it still does really poorly. Its quest tracking, nonsensical. You can have a maximum of like 60 quests and bounties and shit in a game that gives you bounties and quests for everything, which is insane. And you can only track 3 of them at a time. You can only track 3 of them. And not only that, but you can never see on the fucking map where your quests are until you like switch the map. Like I can't look at all the quests that I have active and then on the same screen see where they are on the map. So I have no way of actually figuring out where I need to go and when, which is just it's an atrocity. It was 2019 when I was playing this more, and like for some fucking reason, this is like a very simple thing that any UX designer would have figured out is going to be valuable in a game like this. Not only that, but like the new armor and weapon system, I really feel like I'm not an idiot, and I couldn't figure out or understand how like the entire weapons numbers leveling shit worked until like 50 or 60 hours into the game. And that was not because it describes it to you in the game. It's because I had to go out and fucking look online for tutorials that people wrote. And it's like, just do a better job. This is a good game. It'll make you money.
Dude,
the gunplay is phenomenal. The environments are phenomenal. The game is fucking awesome.
There's a third-party tool, because the game has an actual, what's the frickin' word I want to use, where it's plugged into, like, you can utilize it on the web. There's definitely a word for that. I'm just...
Like an add-in?
Oh, an API? There's an API.
There's an API for Destiny 2, where somebody made, like, a inventory management website where you can transfer items from one character to the next. And it's instant. Like, you do it on this browser, and it's instant, moving items from your 3 characters, because you're restricted to the 3 different classes. There was like so much power and potential clearly there, because this API clearly worked very well for certain things. But the fact that the internal tools were that shit just blew my mind.
Like, why, with so much money behind this fucking game to design it, why couldn't you just like actually hire some like expert UX people to deal with this shit?
Because Activision.
Yeah, so let me clarify. That's an amazing thing. The fact that they broke free from Activision, they're now on Steam, and they've already announced that they are going to do a Destiny 3. I am not going to pre-order it, but I am very hopeful that they will learn from their mistakes, move on independently away from Activision, and do themselves justice with a great game. Because I still think the loot shooter market, like, I haven't played Borderlands 3 yet, but I still think that market is like not figured out yet. Nobody has made, because Borderlands 2 is a different generation of technology and everything else. And that game was the cream of the crop at the time. And right now, I mean, Destiny 2 is the best, but Borderlands 3, I don't feel like anybody's like really pushing things to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, I have been burned by Destiny 2, whereas I have a lot of friends who are playing it now and tell me to play it, and I just refuse. I'll get excited for Destiny 3, and if I know enough people will play it, I'll probably play it at launch. But if they do another thing where it's like delayed, if it's delayed, like delayed release, like how it was for PC, didn't come out till like 6 months later or whatever, who knows? But I'm time exclusive is something that I'm very annoyed with in general, but that's a whole
I agree.
conversation.
It needs to stop happening. That killed Monster Hunter World for me. I never ended up playing the game, really. I need to go back and play it. Actually, I've been planning on picking it up soon, because I own it. I just need to pick up the controller and play it. But I was so freaking hype, and then the 6 months delay is rough. Let's kind of wrap up this segment, I guess. Like, any other games you guys want to mention for best and worst? Because we did ramble a lot. It's been an hour.
Dead Space 2 was another game I loved. XCOM, The Witness. Those are probably the last ones that really jumped out to me.
I've been playing this new game called Chess. Really into it these days. It's actually super cool. It's like a
fucking
strategy
nerd. Play a man's game like Go.
That wasn't this decade. Bioshock 1 was last decade, just as you know. But yeah, nope. Those are
worst games.
I mean,
I gotta put Hearthstone on that list.
Hearthstone's fine.
It's gotta go in my top 5. It has to.
Top 5. I thought you were saying worst 5. I was like,
no, top 5.
Not a game itself, but Magic the Gathering Arena is like actually really sick.
Yeah, no, but Hearthstone, I've put more hours into Hearthstone.
And they keep adapting.
Yeah,
Battlegrounds is a good time.
We didn't even bring up The Witcher. Like, Witcher 3 is a great. Like, it's good.
I don't like that game personally.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't bring it up.
Not a fan of the combat, but
it's not, the combat's awful.
I'd love to watch a TV show about it, and I'm gonna have to do that one of these days.
All right, good work today, everybody. We did it. One topic down.
AGDQ 2020. Now, Awesome Games done quick. Started in 2013? Was that the first year?
2010 was the first year.
2010. So basically around the time Twitch launched. I watched it for the first time when I was working at MLG. Was really impressed. The whole office. It was like super fun working for MLG because the entire fucking office had AGDQ on. And like whenever anything hype happened, you heard like, it's like, just cubicles next to cubicles, everybody getting excited. One of the best parts about working in the gaming industry, I guess, is those kind of events because it's really exciting. But I'm super impressed with like just how they've leveled things up. They've gone to becoming, you told me, Tom, a full-on nonprofit.
Yeah, they're a nonprofit
with
yeah.
full-time employees and everything. What are you looking forward to the most with AGDQ this year?
I think, I mean, from a games perspective, I have like the games that I like, obviously. Like, I'm really excited for ZFG's Ocarina of Time run tonight. It's 100% no source requirement. I think I'm just excited about the fact that like they're moving down to Orlando is a huge. So just for some background for people who aren't familiar with Awesome Games Done Quick, it's a week-long charity event that's dedicated to speedrunning, which is the practice of playing games as fast as you possibly can. In the past, it's always been in the DC area, in like Maryland, but this year they moved it down to Orlando, and I think it's largely because of like the amount of growth that they've seen. And I feel like for me, the best thing and the thing that I'm looking forward to most is to see like where it goes from here. Like they had, I've gotten to go to AGDQ the past couple of years because they were in my area, but they had to move just because like the place was packed. I was there for a weekend and it was just fucking packed. Everyone was there, and like there are so many ways to have fun at an AGDQ event. Like, all right, let me talk a little bit about my GDQ experience, like what I experienced for it, because I really like it. It blew my fucking mind. You go to an AGDQ, it's usually at like a hotel or at a convention center next to a hotel. There are rooms dedicated to board games, which have board game libraries so that you can play those things. You have tons of rooms that are set up on the side with just like CRT TVs all over the place. So you can play any games that you want on them if you've like brought your own consoles or whatever you want. So like like the first GDQ that I went to, it was like 4 a.m. and I go downstairs into one of these rooms just as there's like a Halo 2 LAN party starting. Like at 4 a.m. Like we land Halo 2 for hours. Like right when I was ready to go to bed, I was like, I guess I'm not fucking going to bed.
Yeah,
straight up 4-on-4, like it was the best thing. 2 Xboxes just land together. It was the most fun I've had in ages. Like just stupid shit like that, because it's a big group of nerds that all just love playing games, and there's plenty of space to be able to do that. Nowadays, I guess at this one, there was also panels that you can go to like watch people speak and talk about different things in
it's a full convention at this point. Like
it's a full convention at this point. Yeah. So I mean, that's just the most exciting thing for me this year, is just that like to imagine that it's grown so much. If you watch videos of the event from like 2013, you see that it's just a bunch of like weird dudes hanging out in like half of a hotel conference room, and now we've like leveled up to filling, you know, huge spaces. Like they need spillover rooms because people can't all watch it in the same place. You know, like it's insane.
I mean, we had a great conversation earlier when we were right before the show. We were watching some guy with a pillow.
Yeah, dude, that was so hype. He was playing that Ikaruga looking game. Yeah. It was very fun. It was very entertaining. He gave a beautiful speech all the way. Yeah. He says you don't go partially, you go all the way. I hope that makes it on Reddit or something, because it was so memey. I don't know if it definitely was scripted on his end. I don't know if it's a quote or what, but it was beautiful. And he was telling it like he was a wrestler, because as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, this dude is like snuggling up on a pillow, like playing this game, like super focused. I'm like, what a nerd. And then he starts talking. I'm like, what is his voice? But it was actually pretty hilarious. I just want to comment on just AGDQ as a whole. AGDQ is one of those things that's beautiful about Twitch, and Twitch has brought all these things to become, all these communities to become something really special. We look at esports, we look at speedrunning, we look at just, you know, social gaming, whatever. All of these different things are now huge, and the fact that we've got these massive esports events with $100 million prize pools, we got AGDQ raising shitloads of money for charity. It's really phenomenal, and there's nothing like AGDQ. There's just Awesome Games Done Quick, that's every winter, and then Summer Games Done Quick every summer, and that's it's all the same nonprofit, right? And that's it.
Yeah. It's just called Games Done Quick nowadays, and actually between events, streaming sessions. So like they're now pumping out actual content about speedrunning year round.
Actually, there's the St. Jude's one, and my boy Alex Cherry-Costa, he works for Red Bull now. He runs it. St. Jude's, Smash.
That's probably that's probably in like Nashville area.
Smash charity. Anyways, it's called like Smash the Record. That's definitely what it's called. Smash the Record.
Yeah, I think one of the super cool things about it too is that like overall, the speedrunning community is one of the most inclusive communities out of like all the gaming communities that there are. Like, there are a lot of really toxic communities. We're all familiar with these things that are not inclusive to like women, or like, you know, there's a lot of like homophobia and like transphobia and all this stuff. Like, the speedrunning community is like super, super, super inclusive in that way. And like, I feel like one of the things that happens a lot too is that after big events like that, after AGDQs, you'll see people make videos of like cringe compilations and stuff. And like, it's crazy though, because like when you're there, like it humanizes all these people so much more. And like, you know, it's kind of shitty that people do that. Like these are people who are coming together because they like love a thing that's incredible and super cool, and they're engaging with that thing that they're doing in a charitable way. So like it's kind of a shitty thing to like do, you know? And the thing is, yeah, there's like a lot of awkward people there, but you can actually just kind of be more accepting, and like then you're...
I mean, but that's true for every anime convention, every comic book convention, every you name it. Like,
yeah, I'm pointing it out as like it doesn't need to happen.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Be accepting, be open-minded, stop being a dick.
Be cool, yeah. Like,
don't be a dick.
Meet somebody where they are, you know?
Don't be a dick. Moving on.
You can. I'm sorry. Never mind.
We're moving on to esports. In Arano and Unctious, you've now swapped names. I just noticed this. It's fine. I'm too lazy to fix it. We're moving on. The ESL Pro Tour has announced that it will be including Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2. What this means is it means that Blizzard is, as far as I know, not running WCS. As far as I can tell, this is now the Pro League. Now, history lesson, back in 2010, when StarCraft 2 came out, it was run on a circuit format by different parts of the world, but in the US it was MLG. Ultimately, this is kind of like what esports was. It was run by gaming organizations like MLG, ESL, DreamHack, GomTV, whoever was running these events, and then people would fly out, show up, and compete. And WCS happened, and it was designed to bring player stability and, you know, just kind of a better ecosystem theoretically for the player. To me, I think it was worse. And I'm not going to get into that because that's a long conversation. But
yeah, it's a super long conversation.
It's a very long conversation. We could do a whole show on esports ecosystems and everything else. So to see that it's a 3-year contract, which literally just says, because I was talking to Huck. If you guys don't know who Huck is a former pro player. Now he's the president of Boston Uprising Overwatch team. I was talking to him at BlizzCon this year, and he's like, yeah, man, I don't know. This might be the last year of StarCraft on the stage, because we were watching StarCraft 2 finals at BlizzCon. And I was like, you think that? He's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's been such a crazy year. Just kind of Heroes of the Storm getting canned, all these other things. They were really feeling the heat. And he's not even a player anymore, but like just like externally, he was definitely not there. But so the fact that ESL and DreamHack collectively now have a 3-year contract to run both StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 is a big deal. I didn't expect this news at all. I was really, really, really excited when I saw that for StarCraft 2, but I said this before, I don't think Warcraft 3 would really become a big esport until I read this. I'm like, if there's ever a time for Warcraft 3 to be able to rise from the ashes and become a thing again in the West, it's when you pair it with StarCraft 2, and I think this is going to be a very symbiotic relationship for both games, because there's crossover with those communities. It's good for both communities. Some people that care about Warcraft 3 will come out, or maybe even just Warcraft fans might come out that play World of Warcraft and then end up becoming StarCraft fans. So I could not be more excited about esports than I have been about this announcement right here, personally.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think there's so many good things about it. Did you look at the bracket format, or like the? I haven't
got to dig onto the details now.
Oh my god, it looks fucking cool. And it was at least from the StarCraft side of things. I think you're familiar with Apollo. He used to be a caster who now does ESL stuff. I think he's the one who put together like the actual format for how everything's going to feed into each other. Like it looks so badass. I think so. There's a couple good things. One of which I'm actually stoked that it's not going to be at BlizzCon anymore, like WCS like finals and stuff at BlizzCon anymore. I'm glad that it's going to like be part of other gaming events.
So we don't know that there won't be a BlizzCon.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think there's any plan. I think that the finals are going to be at like, you know, specific gaming events that outside of BlizzCon. That was the impression that I got from reading about it.
They could do something else at BlizzCon though.
So
it doesn't have to be.
Well, yeah, there may be something else, but
we just got to point out that BlizzCon is kind of outgrowing itself, and like it almost makes sense to move having all these esports cannibalizing viewership when people might watch multiple. I think is becoming a problem at BlizzCon. So I'm actually, if it seems like it's not going to be at BlizzCon, that's a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah, that was the impression that I got. I don't remember what I read about it, but also like, I mean, I didn't watch any of the StarCraft stuff at BlizzCon. Like the finals were on like Fridays or Saturday nights, and then there's the whole like pre-week thing leading up to it with that it has games during it, and it's like this is not a thing that I'm excited for.
Opening week is like, yeah, it's kind of become tough for a lot of people because it's all studio environment.
Yeah, I don't know. I just the structure of it didn't hype me to actually try to sit down and watch a finals, and like that's a problem. Like I'm excited for it to be separated from BlizzCon.
Ali Sonder in chat says Warcraft 3 is going to have $200,000 prize pool. StarCraft is going to be 1.9 million total. This is across all the events. So the Warcraft prize pool, I think it's fine to start low because there's honestly there's nothing like that in the scene. And like, this is year one. These events are starting as early as like the end of February. So we're talking like 5 weeks. We're going to have these tournaments firing up. That's going to be Anaheim, I think. And then I think Jönköping, Sweden is going to be the next one. The StarCraft esports team.
The thing worth noting about those prize pools is that the prize pools themselves are all funded by Blizzard. So like
that's what a 3-year deal means. They are paying ESL and DreamHack to host this and funding all this. Yeah. That's how Blizzard operates. If people
I just wanted to point it out because like that matters. Like
it's not like Blizzard is absolutely like paying them to like they're
This isn't just a licensing deal, is what I'm saying. Like this is like.
So it goes beyond that because this means that like Blizzard's esports team, which as far as I know did get downsized quite a bit, now we know why. They're saying, okay, look, we're going to stop trying to monopolize and run all our own thing and let grassroots thrive. And the best part about, you know, putting this back in the hands of grassroots is I think it's a different energy. I think it's a different hype. You're going to have DreamHack and ESL collaborating, but also competing to put on a better show. It's really healthy for the environment, I feel. But again, I need to not jump into that conversation today. Maybe we're going to have a show next week. I think Zoya is going to join us next week. So maybe we'll do a deeper dive on like esports ecosystem and what this all means. And the other thing I want to talk about with Zoya is New World and just kind of classic WoW and kind of like more of the MMO escape. But
not to be confused with Two Worlds.
Yep, not Two Worlds, New Worlds. GSL news, yeah, that makes sense for Korea to have some news on that front. But all really cool. I mean, this is good news. I mean, Warcraft 3, there's some hungry people out there. There's some really talented people out there. I actually went to the Warcraft 3 Summit after the 2018 BlizzCon, met a lot of the pro players, met a lot of the commentators. It's really going to be fun to see where that goes. I'm particularly curious to see how that game does. It launches in 14 days or something. And so 2 weeks we're going to have Warcraft 3 coming out, Reforged, but it's modern day gaming. If you're a veteran gamer like Unctious, dealing with that unit pathing isn't for everyone. Especially in a multiplayer competitive atmosphere. And so we'll see. I'm very curious to see what the player base looks like. For me, it's much more fun to watch than to play, at least for multiplayer.
Oh wait, here's that image, by the way. I'm gonna throw it in your chat.
What image?
Take a look.
Probably the bracket.
Yeah, this thing.
Put it in Twitch chat. Make my life easier.
Wow. What a boy.
Fine. No, I can do it this way. I can do it this way. Take me away. Technology. The 3-monitor struggle. All right. Tell me about this bracket, Tom.
This isn't even the. I don't even know if this is the actual one.
God
oh, here's the one that I was looking for.
Killing me.
Looking at the championship, and I'll even put this one in Twitch chat. Here you go, bro. That's the one that I want. The other one that I want. Okay, so Katowice. All right, so you have like all of the winners and like from all of the things that feed into this, so they'll like go through group stages, and you have like the ESL Pro Tour on one side and Korea on the other, and you have like, so that's 20 people being fed straight in, but then on top of that, there's like all of the people underneath those winners, the next 8 ranks from Korea and ESL Pro Tour both automatically go into the play-in stage also. There's just like a massive quantity of talent there that is absolutely going to be insane in a way that you didn't see in WCS. So I'm like super stoked for just like the 36 player playoff round is insane to me. Like that's super cool.
IEM Katowice 2021. So this is really like
this is the championship. This is like the championship.
That's hype. So this is going to be a narrative. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be watching both these games. I might even take a stab at casting Warcraft 3. I've researched it a lot over the last year. I really like watching the game, like I said, but this is hype. Like this is hype. It really is.
Yeah. A lot of talent going to come out. I'm so stoked.
And I assume it's the same format for Warcraft 3, which honestly, like we said, the money isn't necessarily as grand as StarCraft 2, but it's still about, lighting that fire again, getting that spark and setting it ablaze and just kind of refounding a scene, because it's not Warcraft 4. If this was Warcraft 4, guarantee you Blizzard would be dumping hella cash on it. But this is really generous of them to give it anything, because I don't think Brood War got anything. The Brood War remake?
Remake, whatever. I honestly don't know. I think they didn't want to kill StarCraft 2, so I don't think they ever did anything with it.
I don't know how popular that was, but
looks like Warcraft.
I know a lot of people still just played the original. I know, like in Korea and stuff like that, people just still played the original. No one played the remake.
It looks like for Warcraft, you have, so there's going to be like 4 challenger tournaments, and the 4 winners of those get piped directly into the championship. Cool. And then the top 12 ranked players, based on like points throughout those tournaments, I believe is what happens. So it's basically a mix of qualifying by points and qualifying by champion to get into the actual championship tournament. Pretty cool.
Awesome. I mean, that's hype. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes on this. This is going to be starting up pretty much now. It sounds like the Katowice qualifiers already started last night. So that's really intense. But considering the events aren't that long off, I guess it's no big surprise. Last but not least, tonight we're going to hop in to talk about the Consumer Electronics Show. There's 2 things I want to mention. The first thing is, have you guys seen the new NVIDIA Asus monitor?
No, I didn't see anything about it.
Let me pull it up. It's a 340 hertz.
360.
360 hertz.
You said 320 earlier. I wanted to correct you, and then I forgot, and then you just said 340. So
let's go, man. Let's go.
You're almost there. It's like specifically for esports purposes.
Can my eyes see that fast?
Maybe not your eyes.
Not the veteran gamer.
But Legolas could.
I have old, wearied eyes.
Not veteran gamer eyes.
This monitor's for newbie baby gamers. Not us old guys.
All those Fortnite kids.
I like that it's just a video that says 360 hertz on top of it, because like you can't see in 360 hertz. Like you can't see the demo like on your shitty ass monitor. You're not 360 hertz monitor.
It's also in slow-mo.
24.5 inches is the size.
It's cool. It's something I will never own.
Yeah,
I wonder
so
how much it is. Did they give a price point on it?
I want to say $3,000.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, God, I don't know. I can't even say yes or no.
I mean, the current Predators are like $600.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I, mean,
I can
would
only
say- I would
imagine
say
that this, like-
1,000.
No,
So-
but I mean, it's got to be way more than that.
It's
Right?
interesting though, like because you talk about like the different things that exist for monitors right now, and like LG has a 2560 display that's 144 hertz. So like they're like the first ones to make like an affordable 144 hertz monitor that is more than 1080p. This is going back down to 1080p, but they're giving you obviously more than double the hertz. And I look at 360 as like, do I
Double the
need
hurt.
do I need that? Double the
So,
hertz, double the
there's-
hurt.
No price release yet, but there's a monitor which is the same size resolution and features except for its 240 refresh rate, and that is 600.
Okay.
So
All right, maybe.
I would say probably about 1,000. That'd be my guess, but
I love that this video is like kind of useless without sound because it was basically like, look at how precise these pro gamers are on this monitor. Wow, it's almost like they're professionals. But that sounds pretty sick.
I feel like this is a monitor that there's going to be more given out by NVIDIA to competitions and like esport events than there will be actually purchased in this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm curious. 7-layer dip.
What?
Is that like the last thing you Googled and it was just green?
It was there.
Figure.
Alienware is reportedly making a Switch competitor.
Oh, it's just a prototype. I think it's just prototyping. I don't know that this is ever going to hit the shelf. But it looks pretty wild.
God,
And I don't even know how much something like this would cost. The idea is that it is basically like a Switch. It's like a Microsoft Surface like pad, but with the detachable sides for controllers. So you can play Windows games, like PC games, mobily by bringing it with you. And also it does like the Switch actually plug in so that you can just put it on your monitor. So it would be like a small Windows computer as opposed to a Nintendo Switch.
Pretty
There it
interesting. Pretty
Super
interesting.
interesting. I think it's super interesting to know that like there's a company who saw the Switch and was like, hey,
This works.
maybe we can do this. But like, I don't know that it's going to easily work for any other market. Like, part of the reason it works for Nintendo is because one, they have like sort of a captive Nintendo market, but then on top of that, they have a mobile market and they have like a console market, and the Switch just merged them, which is like a smart business move.
So-
and
Don't separate your player base.
Here's my kind of interest and take on this. One, Steam or Valve has been trying to make all this hardware for a long time, and they've been kind of like dropping the ball, I feel. This seems like something that they could do very well because it's another way to fuel their Steam marketplace. You sell it for, barely breaking even on the hardware, because I don't look at this as something that you're going to make a lot of money on the hardware, and then you make money on the store. If Alienware is going to ship this and then just have it run Steam, that's kind of weird. But
Yeah.
if they're then going to have their own store, people don't want another fucking PC. If this is a PC, they don't want a separate store than what we already have. They don't want another ecosystem. So I'm like really curious what the game plan is here, because I don't see this being something profitable hardware alone.
yeah, no, I don't think so either. Not to mention how easy it's probably going to fucking jailbreak one of these things. It's just a Windows computer.
Right.
Like
Yep.
it would need hard lockdown. You probably couldn't even do. Like, people are going to get around it no matter what.
Well, I mean, even like the Switch now, you can jailbreak that pretty easily. But the moment that touches online, any sort of online, your IP gets like fucking shut, and you're done, and you will not be able to use your account ever again. You get permabanned. So they could very easily do something like that, I would assume. I mean, with Windows, it'd probably be a little bit different, but I'm sure they could put some sort of tracker on it that the moment that device hits any sort of IP.
Yeah, but I mean, once it's jailbroke, I don't need to hit it again. Like, I'm going to just use all of the games that I want. I have the games.
Valid.
Games.
I mean, it depends what you're trying to do. Some games,
Yeah.
like if you're trying to play Fortnite with your friends online or whatever, you can't do that there. If you're trying to,
It definitely limits what you can do with it, because if
Right.
you want to update something, you're gonna have to reflash it, or
Yeah,
you're gonna
sure,
have
sure,
to do
sure.
something like that, and you're gonna have to do it separately and then drag it over. And don't get me wrong, you can do that, and there will be people who do that, but that's almost too much
Yeah,
work.
I just don't think that a thing like I don't think an item like that's casual super hard. It's going to be kind of expensive, I think. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so like, and the people who are going to buy them are absolutely going to be the fucking nerds like us who would be like, well, maybe I can just download. I don't know.
I feel like if you pay that much at that point, you're gonna be okay with.
Oh yeah, whatever. All right, fine, whatever they do. Yeah, maybe they're just after the whales, basically.
Yeah,
possibly,
1%.
gotta go whale farming.
Speaking of though, did you hear like there's a rumor for the Switch Pro officially?
I mean, there's been a rumor for a
But
while.
like there was Nintendo said something. I meant to send it to you earlier, but then I got busy at work.
Interesting.
Yeah, may release sometime in 2020.
I wonder what that means as a device.
More powerful Switch. That's all it says.
I mean, there's definitely a need for.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It was ambitious when they decided to release Witcher 3 on Switch. That's an,
Well,
I mean,
even
It's
Zelda
just when they
lags.
Zelda, yeah.
Yeah, Zelda lags. If you're playing in 1080p on a TV, it lags.
Yeah.
There's issues with the way that the dock works, the way that if you have the GameCube adapter plugged into the dock, then going to the device of the actual Switch, I forget how many frames you lose. It's like 11 frames. It's like really bad. So for like competitive Smash, I'm curious if they would ever offer a Pro that's not also portable. Is that even still a Switch at that point? Like, I have a lot of questions as to like what the Switch Pro is going to be.
Interesting.
Because
yeah.
like that's truly the 1% that care about the frames and the lag when it's like 10 frames. But I don't know. I think then there's the performance problems too, right? That's more the main problem for the Switch is that like it can't run Breath of the Wild. It can't run their like flagship game optimally.
1080p,
like
yeah.
Smash Brothers lags loading different skins when you're swapping them. It doesn't have enough RAM or memory to actually change skins in the freaking menus. Like there's
Remember
a lot
your
of
character.
yeah. It's just there's a lot of things that the console is running short on because it's literally like a phone. The console's a phone. Like
It'd be
Let's
cool
be-
if they did a standalone, like not portable one, because they already have the only portable.
right,
I
so you have
can
the
see that
portable
being a
only.
thing, yeah.
That's kind of my argument is like, should they make a TV only version? And my opinion is yes, but I don't know if they will.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I didn't even think about it that way, but I would like that personally. But
Yeah, I mean, I won't buy a new one myself, but I just think if you're
Yeah,
gonna make a
probably
new
wouldn't buy one.
product, like, what's the difference there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else from CES that you guys saw? I haven't. Those are the
I
two
didn't.
big
I didn't
things.
watch that. That's all I saw at CES.
the
That thing.
only thing that I cared about was the Sony presentation, and they told us not a goddamn thing I wanted to hear.
Well, and you're not
So-
going to hear gaming news from Sony. So
No, they did talk about the PS5, and they did release some information, but a lot of people were hoping that the 7 demo would be
No.
a thing. And I know, and deep down, I knew.
never.
I still paid attention.
Hardware, yes.
Yeah,
Software,
I mean,
no.
even more about PS5, I would have cared about, but it was just the logo and a couple other things.
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
Like I said, I knew
They'll
going
save that
in-
for E3.
it's gonna be
E3
what I want.
will be their big PS5 push.
Well, not the demo, because the game's already going to be out.
I mean, not for Final Fantasy, but PS5.
Yeah, but I want Final Fantasy 7 info. I want that demo. It's an hour long, and I cannot wait to play.
They're
it
splitting it
12
up
times.
into different games, right? It's going to be like
Three
First
games
game is
longer.
in Midgar,
Yeah, it'll be
Are
at least
they-
3 games.
Are they each going to be $60?
Oh yeah.
and they're
Oh.
each going to be like 50 hours.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess that's fine.
Yeah,
They're
no,
real-
they're
they're full games.
expanding
It's
the
not-
fuck out of them, dude.
Yeah.
Like this is like the biggest.
It's not the 5 hours of Midgar of Final Fantasy 7.
I just hate the idea that they're like twisting that teat. They're like, how much milk can we get out of this
Dude,
all
baby?
of it.
Dude.
And they're
All
like,
of it.
I will take a re-envisioning of a game like this over releasing Skyrim on every fucking possible platform.
Oh, also, yeah, you know what? It's not one of the worst games of the fucking decade, but God, fuck that game, man. Like, it's not that good.
Skyrim?
People go nuts over Skyrim. People
Dude,
go fucking berserk over Skyrim. I'm
I
just like, it's fine. It's fine. It's
if,
fine.
if it didn't have a robust
really
modding
good when you get the
community,
mods.
if it didn't have the mods, the game
Correct.
would not be popular
It'd be
the
dead.
way it is. Like,
It's fucking out of
Absolutely.
control.
No, the mods update the graphics. The mods make it so you don't have loading screens when you go to cities. There's a lot that the mods do that polish that game that Bethesda would never do themselves.
yeah.
Speaking of, I just installed Skyrim today, so I'm glad you brought that up.
I modded it out for VR stuff. Like, I modded it out super hard for VR stuff, and
You have to. It's unplayable without the mods.
Well, I didn't have my 1080 yet. I was like trying to run modded out Skyrim on like a 970, and I was like, why isn't this working well?
I wonder.
So now I kind of got to try it again with the 1080 and see how it.
We're gonna have to do a VR chat again with you, another show. But I think we're just about out of time here tonight, boys and girls.
Good work, guys.
Any final thoughts? Any games you want to poop on? Praise?
I already closed my dock.
What are you looking forward to?
I think there's a game called Final Fantasy VII Remake that's coming out a little bit.
Tom, what are you looking forward to?
You know, who can fucking say, man?
He doesn't even know.
I don't even know. I don't know. I haven't thought of games yet. I haven't
That new Dragon Ball Z game looks cool, Kakarot.
Kakarot.
I'm kind of excited for that. I won't play it until price drops, or if they say it's amazing, but it looks really
Last of Us 2 this year. Yeah, that's coming out.
That's May.
Oh, I want to praise the game Battle Right. Actually, I actually really fucking love that
Battle
game.
Right.
And-
It's
and,
I like
uh,
Battle Royale. I enjoyed the
I didn't play the Royale
of it.
version.
I call it Burr.
I fucking love that game. It's so good. Anyway.
I'm just looking
Anyway,
forward-
thanks for bringing me on, Jake. This was fun.
No, you're don't say thanks for bringing me on. You're coming back, bitch.
Ooh.
You have no choice here. I wanna make you and Zoya regulars. I want
Wednesdays for the boys.
boys night out.
Boys night out.
Beers up. Dude, I'm pumped to it's gonna be such a pain in the ass to set up my new foot pedals, which I've literally been slapping with my feet the entire show. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. Great.
You're gonna have that muscle memory from playing Star Citizen, and when the ring and your foot's just slowly gonna like slam on the pedal to try to get this fucking moving.
I really
Excited
hope
for your foot
I really
pedals.
hope that I really hope that I don't develop bad driving habits from playing this game.
You're gonna be driving with 2 feet.
Yeah.
Well, the way Star Citizen works is you like decide on a destination, wait 10 minutes to get there, so it's not gonna be a
Oh,
problem.
that's quantum travel. You're right. Ladies and gentlemen, follow us on Twitter at TownHall Arcade, and we do officially have an RSS feed up and running. It is actually just TownHall Arcade at .podbean.com, and we will have our 6th episode up. If you're more into just listening to the MP3 while you're driving to work or whatever, you can grab it there. I've it's been a crazy month with the holidays and everything. I haven't confirmed that it's on iTunes yet. I need to go do that. Actually, I have tomorrow off, so I'll make that my chore to do that, and I'll be streaming Star Citizen tomorrow, waiting 10 minutes for me to get from one place to the next while I do God knows what. Actually, I downloaded a Unreal Engine 4 remake of Star Wars Pod Racer, the N64 game. So I'll just play that while I'm in quantum travel. Let's go.
The best part about it was I was over at Jake's house, and he was like, "Hey, come check this out. I want to show you something cool." Star Citizen. Really a big fan of this game, and he's like, "What I'm going to do is I'm going to click. I'm going to hit this button, hit this button here, hit this button here, and now we're in warp speed." And I'm like, "Oh wow, this is sick. Now what?" And he's like, "We'll be there in 10 minutes." All right.
Guess we'll come back later.
Sick game.
True story. True story. Got to be patient for that game. But that's going to do it for episode number 6. GG's, everyone. Have a good night.
GG's.